before we get started, I just wanted to welcome you and give you some announcements. Most of you know we're here for We United. It's an organization dedicated to leadership with civility, ethics, and humanity in technology. So this is a quarterly webinar that we offer, and it's like our give back to the industry, where we take something that's very relevant and current, and we bring the content to you. So thank you for joining us today, and thank you for taking the time to develop and to invest in yourself. So I wanted to, first and foremost, although this is a complimentary webinar, it's not without a lot of time and effort on the back end. So I wanted to first and foremost thank EE Tech for partnering with us on this platform, for Caitlin Segan and Melody at EE Tech, and Barton for your help and participation in bringing us to this point. And Kate, I have one more person that I wanted to thank that I almost couldn't find. But anyway, Paige. I'm so sorry. I didn't want to forget her. Paige Messmer. So this is the team behind the scenes at EE Tech. I'm so sorry. I couldn't find her name, but I didn't want to forget. Thank you for all your help, you guys. There's been a lot on the back end. Also, our team, Jen Nessel, Christy Pearson, Stephanie Muir, Spencer Lewis, Emily Quinlan, Nina Stoops, so many people, Beth Dillon. Oh my goodness, so many people behind the scenes. So although this is a complimentary webinar, it doesn't go without a lot of effort. So wanted to first and foremost thank all the people, and Gina Feely as well. So with that, let me give you some We announcements. We are super excited. We are just a few weeks away from our We United Summit. Oh my goodness, talk about time and effort and dedication. We are so excited. We are at capacity, and we're having an amazing program this year. Those of you who did not have the opportunity to register, please join our wait list. Sometimes there's movement at the last minute, so please join the wait list. We will see if we can get you in if a spot becomes available. We also are still accepting sponsorships. So if you want to be a part of our program, this amazing, impactful program with all these really dedicated, amazing leaders at that summit, about 175 people, please contact us, admin@weunited.tech. We would love to align with you for summit sponsorship. There's still opportunity, so please don't miss out. My last announcement is we did do a one-time offer. We introduced a corporate member package to corporations. Obviously, as an individual, you can join We at any time and participate in our network. But from a corporate standpoint, we have this package. And this is the last month to access our one-time offer of including summit sponsorship in that package. So please contact us again, admin@weunited.tech. And we will love to talk to you further about that. So with that, let's just get going with our AI discussion. But I had a little story to start because I felt like it might be a really good analogy of why we're doing this discussion and the importance of it. So I wanted to just start with letting you all know, I was thinking about this and kind of laughing this morning, because there was a time in my younger years when I was about 18 years old that I decided in Malibu, where where I grew up and my stomping grounds, I decided one day at 18 years old, was with a group of people and just decided to be cool and jumped off the 50-foot Malibu pier, right? Was not a diver. I was a swimmer at the time. I was very overconfident in my abilities, jumped off the pier, right? And all my friends start following. Well, little did I know when I jumped off the pier, because I didn't have diving experience, I went a little far forward and I kind of did a belly flop. Not so fun when you're jumping from a 50-foot pier. So I jump in the water, belly flop, you can hear the loud splash, right? So I end up recovering. Thankfully, I was a swimmer, so I knew how to recover. And I start swimming in. swimming into the shore, thinking, holy cow, I can't believe I just did that. And I underestimated that jump. And so I'm coming to shore. I'm coming right up. I'm ankle deep. I'm like in the clear. And guess what? The entire beach is looking at me. I mean, people I don't even know, crowds of people saying, look in back of you. It's a very packed day in Malibu. It was a Saturday, midday. And all of a sudden, I look back and I see this massive wave. And I had no time. I had no time to react. It just plummeted me. So after that long jump, the swim in, then I got really worked over by this wave. So the analogy here is here we are in the electronics industry, and we're all kind of somewhere along this spectrum. We're on the pier. Some of us have jumped. Some of us have a little bit of belly flopped with our digital technology and maybe accessing AI. And some of us are just merely, watching, going, what do I do with all this? There's no way back. I probably have to jump. I don't want to belly flop. What am I going to do? Some people are already in the water. They're surfing, they're riding the waves, they're using the technology. But the point of this webinar is, where are you on that spectrum? And we have the opportunity to see the wave ahead. Do we want to be ahead of it, or do we want to get caught in the wave like I did? So anyway, that's my little analogy today, because I think it is so important to stay ahead of technology and not behind it. And with that, I am going to welcome Nicole to come on camera with us right now and introduce her. Hi, Nicole.
Hello.
Did you like my little analogy?
Yeah, well, it's funny because as a swimmer as well, and so we had never talked about that, but I was also a varsity swimmer in high school. So it's like, I would have probably done that too, but I'm definitely afraid of heights. So I would not have taken that jump. But AI is different. I am not worried about taking that jump because it's so easy to get involved, and I'm excited for everybody to experience that today.
Well, Nicole, I'm going to come off camera. I'm going to let you introduce yourself. You're fully qualified to give this webinar, and I'm so looking forward to learning a lot from you. And thank you for being here today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jackie. I appreciate the warm welcome. And I'm excited because this is actually the first of two things that I'm doing with We United. And this is an organization. I actually know one of the founders. And so I'm really excited to be working with the organization. So I'm doing this webinar today, which is kind of a lead-in ahead of the summit in October. So I am the founder of a company called People Process AI. And what I do is really help leaders and teams move from talking about AI to actually using it for measurable results. So today's focus is on the essentials that you need to get started getting ROI from AI right now. It's about laying your foundation, the guardrails and workflows that let you go faster, safer, and with confidence. So at the Leadership Summit in October, we're going to go deeper into scaling AI across your organization. Today is about starting smart, and most importantly, starting now. You don't want to be standing at the top of that pier. Let's get everybody into the water. So first thing we want to do is actually, we're going to take a quick poll. And so if somebody can pop the poll up, we've got fancy dancy technology for this. I just want to get an idea of where everybody stands. You know, do you have no experience? Are you a beginner, intermediate? Are you like, oh no, I'm creating workflows, we're working on integrations, I'm feeling real good about this, but I'm curious about the broader application. So where are we? Let's see. Got to get people's votes in order to get some answers. And oh, here we go. Now it's popping up. Okay, so far we're looking at over 60% beginners, actually 70 if we count the none. So hey, you are in the right place at the right time. You are still, don't worry, you are not behind the power curve. You are joining the power curve. We've got some more intermediates who've popped in. Okay. Okay, so it's looking like we're looking at a primarily beginner audience. So great. We're going to get you started with some basics, and I'm going to teach you some things today. And then I'm also going to give you some takeaways. I'll have a QR code that pops up in a little bit, and that is going to give you some basic workflows to help you explore. So I've already written the workflows for you. All you have to do is copy paste and work with AI as your co-creator. So let's move to our first slide, and we're going to talk about AI as a transformational shift. The thing is, AI is a whole technology set essentially, and it's a transformational shift in how we work. The other thing is the pace of change is accelerating. Think of it this way: every other major business transformation, think about the internet. When I went to college, the internet was a baby. Cloud didn't even exist. Mobile. I remember my first Qualcomm brick phone in the 90s. Hopefully, I'm not the only one. But then we look at right now how we operate. We have small computers in our pockets all the time. AI is moving faster than any of those did. So companies that put the right foundations in place now are going to create an advantage that compounds for years. So in your current role, U plus AI, which is why that's part of my company name, U plus AI can do the job 10 times faster with no compromise in quality and usually an increase, because you're never going to put that work forward without checking it. It already gets your intelligence built into it before you would use what you get out of the AI. And then in future roles, you can significantly accelerate what could be a lengthy learning process because you can work with AI to come up to speed faster. And that's our idea here, is enabling humans with the power of AI to take advantage of this transformational shift in technology. So we're going to start here with what we're calling company essentials. And what I kind of look at these as the company AI essentials, this is your minimum viable foundation. Same thing as when we're developing a minimum viable product, this is your foundation. So one, you're going to need access to a reliable large language model. Tools like Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity, these are the co-pilots. They help you do the heavy lifting of drafting, analyzing, and brainstorming. We're also going to note that there are enterprise options so you can get consistency within your team or company. And those are commercially available. We're not telling anyone they have to go invest in custom technology. This is all available off the shelf. Number two, a simple AI policy. We want clear guidelines on what's safe and what's not. This is not a 50-page legal document. It's just a simple framework that answers the questions of what can I use AI for? What should we avoid? Who do I ask when I'm not sure? There should be a champion within your company. Maybe that's someone in your compliance department. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then number three, we need role relevant use cases. We want to connect AI to the work that people already do. For marketing, that could be drafting campaigns. For HR, summarizing feedback or doing planning for performance management or talent management. Another thing in there, like for finance, reconciling data or doing analysis. So my husband, I know, uses this, and I'll show him an example later. But the key is to really making the benefits obvious. So start with high frequency, low risk tasks where you know what the output should be. But if you're using AI, what are you going to come up with? And then how do you use that? Because once you do that, then you're starting to move your own knowledge forward. So without these three pillars that are your foundation, your AI journey is going to be uneven and risky. But with them, you know that you can move forward with confidence. So we're going to talk a little bit about security and privacy, because I know we're all concerned about that, because one of the first objections that leaders raise is like, well, but what about my security? So here's a key insight that I like to start with. Large language models, so all of ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, all of those things, they're built on publicly available data. The risk comes when you add confidential information to a public tool. So think of it like Zillow. Your home value is already public. You could Google it and it's out there. But if you put your alarm code to your security system out on Zillow, that would be a problem. So let's think about this kind of in some quick rules of security. One, don't put sensitive customer data or trade secrets into public tools. Same goes for financial details. We know the things that logically we wouldn't want to put out into the world. Two, check your privacy settings. Most tools let you disable the chat history, and some tools let you turn off history and data logging. So if you're using AI for sensitive projects, make sure those settings are the right ones. And also, there are enterprise versions with stronger security. These versions also come with added security that can have encryption, there are compliance features. Even the $20 a month personal ChatGPT gives you access to these kinds of settings. At a corporation level, we're seeing a lot of companies that are tying in with Microsoft and using Copilot, but like other companies are choosing ChatGPT. So that is something that at a company level, you can make choices and determinations with your compliance team. But where I want to talk about getting started is that you start safely. And I've actually created an AI guidelines workflow that you can use to map out the policies or considerations for your company. You'll find that at the QR code that you're seeing on the screen. And don't worry, that's on like the entire like second half of this deck. So you can pull it at any time. But you could, at this QR code, you're going to find that along with some other resources that we're going to reference today. Just know, many safe use cases exist. Drafting product sheets for these products already exist. You have them on your websites now. Great, but you could be revamping these product sheets or drafting new ones, brainstorming headlines for things that you're going to put out there, summarizing industry news. You can start there safely today. That's all publicly available information already. So just know that information is not sensitive and you can feel good that you can get started. So I'm going to give you a slide of do's and don'ts when working with AI tools. I'm not going to spend a ton of time here because this is really a summary of the last couple of slides, but I want to make sure we have an easy to read slides for those of you who want like a quick hits version. And I will also note, if those of you who are like me, like I've got the screen capture on all the time, hey, take a screenshot, put this in your notebook, and you can easily remind yourself about things. I want to put a note, when we're doing this, one of the things I like to say is think of AI as your intern. You bring this college intern in, and they are young and they are smart and they are learning things that, you may not have access to in the career world, but they also don't know the business sense that you have gained over the course of your career. So treat AI as a first draft. You're always going to review it before you're publishing. Ask AI, what context do you need to make this better? So these are things I want to make sure that people are thinking about. And also, we'll talk about this more, but track your progress. Talk about, the time that you're saving as you build your ROI story, because the return on investment is like, I put in time to learn about AI, and now I'm generating a lot of my deliverables in half the time. And that frees up time for higher value work that really goes into what I invest at. Let me do what I love in the work that I do and take out some of the drudgery that I don't really love, but I have to get done. Okay, so we're going to move on to talking about how do we use AI effectively. Structured prompting is one of my favorite things because success with AI, it's not about technical expertise. It's about setting good habits. The most important habit is structured prompting. So here is a simple formula that transforms your results. Instead of saying something like, write me a marketing email about this product, let's take a step back. When you have a problem, who would you call? If you were to have a person-to-person conversation, who's the best at this? Who would you bring into this discussion? And what would you say to them? That's kind of the mindset shift. You're not tossing random requests at AI. You're giving it context like you would give your colleague. One of the things I also like to say, sometimes just use the dictate feature. We've all got our headsets, or just, hit the little microphone button, record what it is you want to say, and then clean it up. But what you want to end up with is the role. What do you want AI, what context do you want them to serve in, what role? Give them context about background information about what the task is that you're trying to do or who you're solving this problem from. Give them the request. Clearly state what it is you want to come out of this interaction with. And then tell it to ask clarifying questions. It's the same thing. Think about that intern. You don't want them just going off half-cocked with a little bit of information, but wanting to please you. Because AI is programmed to give you the best information it can. If it doesn't have the best instructions, its outputs are going to be more compromised. So we're going to give it this structure of a role, context, request, and ask me clarifying questions. The difference between that and a simple prompt, this second approach gives AI the context it needs to create something you can actually use and feel good about. And then they're going to have less rework after it gives you its first response. So better prompts, usable outputs. Then I'm going to point out prompts go be workflows. Something that I learned. So my company, I'm actually a consultant for a company called Simple Academy. And so we actually have a platform for learning. That's how I was introduced to AI. A friend was using this and I was like, oh, this is super cool. And so when I learned it, I learned with workflows. And so I actually started kind of at that point and I was like, oh my gosh, they can do so much. So I talk about that prompts gives you a single draft. It's a single turn interaction for quick results. But workflows take you a step further. Instead of generating just text, it helps you ask the right clarifying questions, explore creative alternatives. So you may come up with a solution that wasn't the one you were expecting, but actually gives you a better output. You can go deeper into your analysis because it is built into the structure to talk to you and go back and forth and really make sure you're doing the right context. And then it's also going to help you deliver a finished output you can actually use. So that's the difference between asking AI for a draft and running an AI-powered system that produces complete work. This allows you to go both faster and deeper than you would on your own. So in some of the training that I'll blow the lid off now. I'm going to offer you a scholarship. Jackie and I worked on this to make sure that we have this for all of our We Live attendees. But in our training, we really teach you how to use workflows, how to create workflows. And on our platform, we also provide pre-done workflows for roles across the business. So you can just focus on your area of expertise. That is kind of the point of using AI, is allowing humans to focus on their areas of expertise of getting work done. So let's talk about where this is bringing us. Oh, sorry, I skipped ahead. Prompts and workflows. I wanted to give you an idea. So this is a prompt, and this one is about, wow, this screen is really small for me. I did a supply chain optimization advice. And so like, hey, let's just give me some stuff. And this is still going to give you great output. But if you go, this one on the right is we actually take a concept that you're exploring and actually take you to go through higher order analysis and really looking at risk and mitigation and things like that. And so you really just get deeper into a problem. And so if you think about those types of outputs that you really want to get, great, this is going to help you get there a bit quicker. So now we're going to talk about the future of work and evolving your role. So one of the things that absolutely was a game changer for me was thinking about 80-20. That most of us have heard about the 80-20 rule, which is that 80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts. Similarly, you wear 20% of your wardrobe 80% of the time, but at any rate, AI is made supercharged, that critical 20%. And what your 20% is, that's your creativity. It's strategy. It's decision-making. It's all that confidence that you have gained from your career and your background. But let's try to eliminate the repetitive tasks. So focus on that 20%. And here's the insight, and this is from Dr. Benjamin Hardy, and it's in a book called 10X is Easier Than 2X. He and Dan Sullivan, who is an industry trainer, and he was like, 10X is actually easier than 2X. And that is just a life-changing philosophy. So I highly recommend Dr. Benjamin Hardy's work. But what he talked about is really that doing 2X means doing more of what you already do, but just doing it a little faster. However, if you go 10X, that forces you to think about redesigning around that 20% that matters. AI helps you make 10X possible. Instead of sprinkling AI into old processes, let's look at this key question. If I rebuilt this process from scratch with AI as my teammate, as my co-creator, what could that look like? And this is where we talk about AI is this revolution. This is why We United said this is incredibly important to our industry, to the people who are leading in our industry. They need to get this perspective that this is the revolution, focusing on the 20% where we can have transformational impact in business. So the knowledge work, which most of us are doing, I mean, there are people who are out on production lines or in oil fields or, out on farms. They are not in the knowledge work. We think about the way the Industrial Revolution happened and how we moved into factories, and then we moved into knowledge work. So now knowledge work, which has been the main workforce in our country for about the last 60 years, we're now having a industrial revolution of knowledge work. But the thing is, we're not talking about decades anymore. We're talking about years. About 18 months ago, most companies hadn't even touched AI. But today, millions of people are building workflows on it. I think the latest statistic I saw is that like 74 or 76% of people are actually using AI in their work, but they're doing it without any training. They're doing it without guidance. That's why we want to get you started in this now. So the way we manage information, the way we make decisions and create value is being reshaped literally in real time. So we kind of see how this works as we go from curiosity. That's where a lot of people here today, I think we were at 69% of people said they're in the beginner or none category today. So you're probably in this curiosity. You need to do that initial exploration. So getting you to the next level is moving into daily workflows. How do you integrate the AI and having that co-creator, that intern with you, integrated into your daily work? What that's going to give us as you get into this closer is that you get really into that strategy and relational work. This frees up time to focus on the more strategic work and the relationships, because only humans can manage relationships. So when you hear some of the panic out there, that for the record, I do not buy into, we are not panicking. We do not want anybody panicking that AI is taking jobs. What AI is doing, forming those jobs into where the humans can be best used and where the AI can be best used. So this revolution is actually why I'm here talking to you today. I started my career in recruiting. So I've spent a lot of time helping people find the right fit in their careers. And what excites me about AI is that now the jobs themselves are changing. So I wanted to be a part of that shift. And for me, this is really just a perfect blend of my love for talent, strategic planning, and implementation. So the things that I have spent the last, 28 years of my career focusing on are really what I see as the future of the human side of work. But I'm going to take this, we're going to go look at like a very specific example so that we can kind of make this more concrete. So let's look at a marketing director. So right now, we talk about coordinating campaigns. They're reviewing all of the drafts, making sure that we have brand voice. They're chasing that brand consistency. But with AI, the brand voice can actually be protected by AI. Jackie and I talked about this for We United in our very first conversation about where we see these tools being used by the organizations that are utilizing them. And so, great, your brand voice is protected by AI. It ensures consistency across thousands of messages. You're seeing this across your socials, because whoever thought that we were going to have all the different socials that you now promote your business on, and as well as it's not just press releases and websites anymore. You have so many other channels. So great, you can ensure consistency. Your campaign drafts can be generated in minutes instead of weeks. We have workflows, so you can quickly generate, an entire campaign in less than an hour. And then instead of chasing edits, this director can now focus on strategy, customer insights, and innovation. So the role is not being replaced. It's being elevated to higher value contributions. So less busy work, more time on that 20% that's going to drive growth. That is transformation. That's 10x transformation in action. So let's talk a bit about AI co-creation in action. So like, what can this look like for you specifically? So when most people think about AI, they picture this chatbot that's answering questions or something you're injecting into a tool like we do in our customer service centers. A lot of that is going a lot more AI based to help them serve the customer best, recommend the next best answer, things like that. So the real value, though, comes when many people treat AI as that co-creator we've been talking about. So some ways that professionals are co-creating today: drafting content. Think about going from first drafts of reports and emails to actually brainstorming those campaigns we just talked about. Analyzing data. You could be summarizing survey results. Maybe you have customer satisfaction surveys. Maybe it's the surveys from products on your website. You could be extracting insights from those and identifying trends hidden in spreadsheets. My husband is actually a sales analyst for a retirement services company, and he was struggling with a retention analysis of their salespeople. He popped that data. His company actually has a company ChatGPT account, so he is allowed to put whatever in there because they have put the safeguards in place already. And so he started putting in a bunch of these reports, and he was looking at retention analysis for their sales people and came up with some really interesting things. One of which was that, oh, we're seeing a lot more attrition over here. Maybe this manager isn't the best. And funny enough, the manager had been fired like a week before, but that hadn't made it as far as the analysis. So ChatGPT is pulling up. He's like, yes, you are 100% right. That was not a great manager, and their people were leaving. So where are those people going, and what do their numbers look like now? And so you can really dive deeper when you don't have to go do all of the analysis yourself, but you can be thinking more about the insights because you know that internal situation that ChatGPT has no way to find. So let's talk about designing workflows. You can create project plans. I know that I have done that in my own project management work. You can create interview guides, hugely helpful because you could tailor them to the role. And as we know, for any of the HR professionals on the line, you always want to make sure you're asking the same questions throughout the interview process for every role, but you can generate that a whole lot faster now because I spent a lot of time on that over the years. You can also create full training outlines step by step. My friend Christine actually used a workflow from our AI MBA program to create a global training program in about a quarter of the time she'd planned it for it to take. She was raving about the outcomes. So that was a personal win in my life because she'd been very stressed about this. So the magic isn't that AI spits out one answer. It's about what you can build with it and iterating until you get exactly what you need, but you're doing it a whole lot faster. Other tools. Okay, so other tools in the AI ecosystem. It's not all about one way. You've got your foundational models. We talked about those: ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. There are a number of kind of core LLMs that we use. And then that is kind of some of your basics. So it's your core teammates for writing, coding, analysis. Claude Code is a new one that I've been hearing a lot about. So if you're doing websites and you need coding, Claude Code apparently has gone leaps and bounds ahead, and they are really producing a great tool. But let's also talk about presentations and documents. Gamma. I mentioned it to the team, like, hey, I have to take my own advice. The presentation that you're seeing here today was created by Gamma. I knew what I wanted to say, but I don't know about you, but I've spent a lot of time creating PowerPoint documents at my last company. Oh my gosh, deck it out, baby. That was a theme. And so I spent tons of time creating these beautiful PowerPoints that were just stressing me out because that is not my zone of genius. My zone of genius is relationships. And so, let me see what Gamma's going to come up with. It came up with a beautiful deck. I would never have come up with some of these beautiful visuals. I like that it's got more variety in the slide types. So you can create things like this with online tools that are powered by AI. And if you don't like the photo, you just tell it like, nope, I want to go more like this. Great. It'll give you 3 new options. Don't like that either. Okay, 3 more options until you find what you want. Notebook LM is another one. It reads your documents and answers questions with summaries. So that can be really helpful. One of my clients, the Cable Center, is using that. They have an archive about all of the leaders over the years within the industry. And so as part of their content library, they're using Notebook LM to create summaries and abstracts about all these different people because they have the content. Now it's just summarizing it, not having a human have to do that by themselves. Media creation. These are some fun ones, and these may not be ones you have a genuine need for, but I wanted to make sure we give you lots of different options. Suno, you can create full songs from text descriptions. So maybe you could use that, for if you need a new jingle for an advertisement, you could potentially be doing that. You could use this, let's be honest, with your kids. Do we need a new goodnight song? Do we need something for one of the sports teams that doesn't actually get a cheerleading section? So you can do some fun things with these as well. Hey Jen takes scripts and turns them into professional talking head videos. I actually know someone who is making this. Their primary business is creating these AI generated videos for companies that are small, that know they need to have videos on their website or for advertisements, but don't have the time and the video editing capabilities. Great. Let's create a visual, an AI generated likeness of you and create this. 11 Labs. This actually clones voices with studio grade quality. The place that I've seen this used, and I haven't done it yet, I actually created a custom GPT that is a self-coach based on information about myself and where I want to go in life. I use the AI to actually coach me. One of the ways that you can do that is you can actually have it clone your own voice so you can have a two-way conversation with yourself. So we also want to be careful that people are not using this for, I know we all saw during some election cycles and so there's all this stuff about fake news that has been in the media for the last several years. And they talk about creating these deep fakes. So we want to also be careful that we're checking for authenticity, and taking care with these sorts of things. But there are good applications within your companies that you can use this for. But I'm going to put that little postscript in there as well. And then visual thinking. Napkin AI is a great tool where you can convert text into diagrams and flowcharts, especially for those on the production side of the house. This could be an incredibly helpful tool for you in the electronics industry. So the point is that you don't have to use every tool. Pick the ones that amplify your specific workflows and your needs and integrate this with what you already use. So start with one of your core foundational models, those main LLMs, and then add specialized tools as you identify clear use cases in your daily work. Okay, so how do you find ROI? Because we want a return on investment in any investment that we're making. And this investment that we're making is in ourselves and in our productivity. So we measure it by saying that we are going to reduce time and cost to achieve the goals that we already have set for our positions. AI doesn't change your goals. It does still need to happen that you're closing deals, you're serving clients, you're delivering projects. But what it can do is transform the variables. Speed increases dramatically. So hours now take minutes. Cost decreases because the hope is that we have less rework because we present a first draft that's actually closer to final, or maybe it was a first draft, you reworked it with AI, and now you're on draft 3 before it ever goes to your boss. So that means less rework, fewer vendors. Potentially you can have leaner teams where you're really focused. And so this is one of those things where we look at kind of like how attrition works in the workplace. And so maybe when you lose a team member, you can help bring back that productivity without killing the remaining team members. Because I know we've all been in that position where somebody leaves, or maybe covering a maternity leave for somebody who's off having a baby. Let's pick a really good reason that somebody is out of work for a while, but that team has to still get the work done while that person's out for however many months that they're away. Great, let's use AI to help up that productivity. So let's think about this. If one person saves 1 hour a day, that's 250 hours a year. Multiply that by 20 people in a department or a company or an office, you're freeing up 5,000 hours annually. What would you do with 5,000 hours? They say it takes 10,000 to become an expert. So what can a company do with 5,000 extra hours? And it's not just save time, it's capacity that you can reinvest into strategy, innovation, and customer experience. So think about how we can be advancing our businesses. Okay, so how do we get there? installing the habit. Here's the key. ROI doesn't come from one-off experiments. It comes from building the habit. And if anybody else has read Atomic Habits, James Clear is brilliant. Here's how we install habits. Choose one daily workflow, something repeatable. It's drafting follow-up emails, summarizing meetings, a report that you have to pull every week. Use AI for that task consistently, and then it becomes second nature. So pick something that feels like busy work, something you don't love about your day-to-day job, and start using AI to help you with it. When you commit to using AI for that task every time, just 3 weeks, let's build the habit. It only takes 21 days. And then track the time saved and also the quality improvements. Because I'm going to bet it's going to come up with some ideas that you hadn't thought about before. And then you're going to go, oh, I like that. Oh, let's build on it. And you're going to get a higher quality product. So the habit becomes the foundation. Once people see the real-time savings and quality, they start looking for the next workflow. And that's how adoption spreads. It's not by forcing. It's not by telling everybody thou shalt. It's pick something and I want to help you. As a leader, you're helping your team. As a colleague, you're helping your team. This isn't about forcing. It's building confidence, one task at a time. Those small wins build confidence. And AI, you get comfort, and then adoption naturally spreads. Also, share your success stories with your team because that inspires others. AI really can help you find balance and take time for strategic thought versus running from place to place. So what I want all of you to be doing is installing the AI habit. Okay, I've been talking for a bunch about this. And by the way, it is very strange when you don't get to see the other people. So hopefully this is landing the way I'm hoping it is. But I want to actually show you a tool. So I'm going to leave our slide deck and we're going to talk about a few things. We're going to actually go through like, how do you map your role responsibilities? And this is a workflow that I've given you in the QR code that's on the screen right now. We're going to map kind of like where the AI opportunities could be. And then based on the example that I'm doing, we're going to run a workflow that is an example of something you could do with AI to help yourself. So I'm going to share my screen. Let me go to the window. It's going to be this one. Okay, it looks like I am sharing my screen now. So this is the desktop version of ChatGPT. So it may look a little different, but you know, when I'm working in Chrome, you never know what's going to pop up. So I went to the desktop version today. So this is one of our first workflows that I've given you, and it's called the productivity matrix. And so what we're doing is this is a workflow, and we're just going to test out. We decided we're going to do a sales manager, company size. We're going to say we're about 1,000 people, and the interest of 3, of course, is electronics. So, but I want to spell it right. Okay, so that's all we had to put in. Now we're going to hit run. And what this is going to do is we're creating what we're calling the first draft of the AI productivity matrix for a sales manager in a 1,000-person electronics company. So each column in this actually represents a core competency area that we would need for a sales manager. So you think about their forecasting, they're doing pipeline management, of course, they're doing customer relationship management. They also need to lead a team, and they have to worry about the operations and the process. They're going to do competitive analysis, performance tracking, and they're going to look at their account territory planning and strategic growths and partnerships. So if we look at these things, each of these is a core area, and each row is giving us some tangible deliveries. Things like, yep, I'm going to do an emerging trends report or a SWOT analysis. I've spent a lot of time doing those, sadly. Team development plan, a leadership and succession plan. Oh, recognition and incentives. Yes, please, for our sales plans. But also, yep, you're going to have to do some opportunity backlogs and pipeline health report. Where are you actually doing on your sales? So for those of you in the sales community or who work with those, I hope you're nodding along and going, yeah, this is real, because the technology actually does know what you do because it's pulling from so much information that's coming out from the general population. So it's giving you this consumable output. You can take this little copy table, you can copy this sucker and put it right into an Excel table and save this information and think about, okay, so if this is what I do, what are the areas I might want to do some experiments in? So guess what? I have something for that too. And again, we've shared this, we're sharing this with you in what I've given you. So I'm going to pop in another workflow here. And here's the good news. All I had to do was copy and paste. Seriously, it is sometimes that easy. So this is actually giving us an AI a performance experiment toolkit. It's saying like, okay, in those things that I do as a sales manager, because it already knows that because I already mapped out what my responsibilities are, I put this prompt in second. It's like, okay, what could I do? You're going to have to increase revenue growth. We want to decrease the sales cycle. So we're saying that like, these are people who are experts out in the community. So you notice we've asked it to tell us who the expert is for each of these. Blake Mykoski, I know, has written some major books on this. So under the increased customer retention, he's saying you need to increase retention with mission-driven engagement. So, okay, how do I create mission-driven engagement? Well, we have ways you can just create workflows to look into that. And so Mark Andreessen, so Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z, that you may have seen, we want to increase growth through new market entries. That makes sense. I mean, this is a company that is a VC firm. So I'm going to take one that I think is probably one of the most obvious options. And that is Grant Cardone. If you've seen his Facebook ads, the man is everywhere. You see a lot of that stuff. He's written several books. You can find them on Amazon. I'm actually listening to one right now. So I was like, hey, I know this guy. I'm gonna create a workflow here. And he says we need to increase revenue growth by pushing for higher activity levels and aggressive closing tactics. I am not a salesperson, so aggressive closing tactics is not my style. But you know what? Let's see what this guy has to say. So I created a workflow, and you can see here, it's based on Grant's work, and said like, okay, so here's the task. You're gonna introduce yourself as Grant Cardone and walk me through his process. So it's like, all right, Nicole, I'm stepping into the role of your Grant Cardone style sales strategy. My job is to work you step by step through creating a proposal that upsells with urgency with value baked in. We're going to define the core offer, identify the upsell opportunities, create the urgency triggers, highlight 10x value. See, I'm not the only one who talks about 10x value. And then you're going to draft an urgency-driven proposal and give me a free deliverable. Would you like me to give you an overview or jump right in? We'll say like, jump in. And by the way, you do not have to spell correctly. Jumpo in works just fine. So here we're going to define the core offer. So it's like, okay, what's the offer we're building on? And this is where it's a problem that I am not a salesperson. So we're going to say a new product intro for the international market, especially Latin America. Okay. Thanks for it. Okay, we're going to get our baseline offer, our product, our pricing model, our scope, and our client type. Does that accurately represent the baseline offer? I'm like, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know, because this is not my field of expertise. So I'm just say, sure, let's see. So the thing is, this is actually going to walk you through. I gave it hardly any information. Can you imagine if I was giving this like the full specs of a product and what I'm looking to sell to and who we know? Or I could use this to develop the ideal customer profile, or I could use an ideal customer profile to look at what is the next thing that I should be building because I'm working with a co-pilot. This gives me the opportunity to really get in there and work with a partner in this. So I'm going to stop sharing because I want to get us back. And if the team can get our slides back up, thank you very much. I know we've only got 11 minutes left. So I want to make sure that we have a little time for a breakout and that we also get a chance to come back and give everybody that scholarship offer. So Jackie, we're going to bring everybody to breakouts. We United wants to prepare you for the future of work. That's the reason we're doing this today. So I want to give you guys a few minutes we're going to send you into breakout rooms and talk about what are you going to do differently going forward? What is the next item that you want in your work, something that you want to use AI for? So Jackie, I don't know if there's more to tell them, but like, hey.
You did it perfect. You did it perfect. All right, we'll just give them a few minutes. It's going to be quick. So Spencer, if you could put people in breakout rooms. As Spencer's doing this, please come on camera. This is also an opportunity to meet people that maybe you wouldn't have met in the industry. So, introduce yourselves and enjoy the breakout room.
So what's next? One, you could reflect and wait, obviously. I don't think that's a great idea because you're falling behind as competitors advance, and this adoption is just accelerating every quarter. So now that you have your foundation set, let's get out there and do it. You can do some DIY experimentation. I highly recommend that you do that, but your progress is going to be a little slower. So what I'd like to offer you is some structured support. And I think this is usually the fastest path to getting measurable results. So we came up with the option for our We Live participants. This is our AI scholarship. It is actually a page on my website. After you get your materials, it'll say, hey, come to get your scholarship. And what you're going to get is training on high value workflows that scale across different roles. You're going to get the ability to certify as an AI workflow practitioner. You're also going to get a trial access to our AI MBA workflow library that covers workflows across. We've got strategy, product, innovation, marketing, sales, finance, operations, HR, and people. And these are things like, I don't know about y'all, but I love me some Simon Sinek. This is like all of those books that you grew up with. It's like business grew up, I mean, Jim Collins, Good to Great. You're looking at for operations, there's Toyota, there's lean principles, there's that Simon Sinek Start with Why. There's all sorts of great information in there. And I am happy to guide you. So you also get some direct access to me, and I'm happy to answer questions. So with that, Jackie, I know you had a few last items that you wanted to go over about the summit. So, please come back on camera and send the team on.
So thank you, Nicole. That was great. Lots of good information. I know we packed a lot in a short amount of time. So the other thing is, please access our hub. So I put it in the chat already. You can look at the, go to weunited.tech, look under resources. There's our hub. Maybe we can mute. I think maybe, I don't know if it's Nicole, somebody's background, but please access the resources that are available. There's a lot right now. I think what Nicole said was very true. Pick one or two, hop in there. Remember, you're standing on the pier, about to hop off, right? So pick what you want to start with, start incorporating, and we are here to support you. We are here to support you in this journey. Nicole is here. I also want to do some final announcements. So maybe some of you don't know We United. Welcome if you haven't been participating with us. But even if you have, please look at the opportunities to engage with We. I can have my team put in the chat. There's a link you could link to how to join our membership. Corporate ways to participate, right? There's all kinds of ways for you to come into the mix and partner with us on bringing civility, ethics, and humanity. As you could see with our technology, how critical and important that is. We have leaders driving technology. So we need to focus on the leaders as much as the technology, right? And developing ourselves. Our summit's coming up. Again, there's a final opportunity for sponsorship for that. Welcome everybody to be involved. Anyway, we really appreciate you joining us, investing in yourselves, appreciate our sponsor organizations, and we wish you all very, very well. Look forward to seeing some of you very soon. Thank you, Nicole, for joining us today. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Such a pleasure. And I hope everybody got value out of this. I was just looking over at the Q&A, and if you have questions, get in touch with me or with the team, and we will. We're excited for all of your progress in this new era of AI transformation.